and welcome from us here at Gold to all our listeners from around the world. I'm Kristen Schwartz, licensed midwife and MC for Gold Learning. And we are back here today, and this time we have a very special guest from the sunny Australia, Vicki Chan.
Hello, Kristen. It's lovely to meet you.
It is
And it
lovely to
certainly is
have you here.
yeah, it is a beautiful sunny day here in Australia, or in Queensland anyway. It's an absolutely gorgeous day.
How wonderful to hear. And isn't it fascinating that we can communicate from all around the world? I love this kind of setting. We can just chat with each other, learn from each other, no matter where you are in the world. So I know for you it's already Thursday, and for me it's still Wednesday. I
It's
just find it fascinating.
mind-blowing sometimes, isn't it? Yeah.
That's right. And so, Vicky, you will be presenting for us here at Gold, at the Midwifery Conference 2019. And we want to hear all about your topic that you will be presenting on. But before we jump into this, tell us a little bit about your life. You live your life, and we've chatted before we had this interview. You live with such passion, and it comes out when you talk. It comes out when you talk about your travels. It comes out when you talk about your work. I can't get enough to talking with you because it is just so joyous and uplifting. So tell our listeners a little bit about your life and your work and your background.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I am uh, a mother of four, and now I'm overjoyed to be a grandmother of two, so that's a lot of fun. My little 5.5-week-old baby is living in my house, so that's very special. I've been a midwife for 35 years now, and it is, if anything, more exciting. I'm more passionate and more driven now than ever. So it just gets stronger and stronger. And I think that I will be talking birth, thinking about birth, dreaming about birth until the day I die, and maybe then some. Who knows? I've worked in a variety of settings. I have been a home birth midwife for 25 years, and on the whole, I don't do that anymore, although I did have a sneaky one a week before I went to Kenya this year. Um, but generally, I now work, of all things, in a private setting, but work very hard with the women there to achieve normal birth, so it's great. I've also worked in birth centres, big tertiary centres, and small hospitals. So a variety of experiences, and including work with the FreMo Birth Centre in Kenya from 2011. So I've been there every year since 2011, when I was invited by Moffat Osoro, who runs the clinic there, to come and work with them.
And
So
we talked a bit offline of how that happened, how you found that place in Kenya. Tell us all about it because I thought it was so fascinating, the story, how you came to be there.
yeah, it was one of those moments. I was actually just sitting at the beach having a coffee and reading just a local magazine, and there was an article there about a local woman who had traveled to Kenya and seen this little clinic out the window of the matatu, or local transport, and inspired to jump off and go in, and it just had a medical centre sign written on the front. Now, she's not a medical person, um, but just something in her triggered her to jump off, and she was so um, besotted. That's the only word I can think of, with the guy who was running the clinic, and it was mainly a medical centre, but they did have births there as well, and came home to raise money to make a floor for their clinic. At that point, it was just a one-room clinic, and they didn't have a proper floor, so they also didn't have water and very limited electricity. So it was a very low, talk about low resource. It was as low as you can get. So I was reading this article, and as I read the article, I was on, I think, the second paragraph when it just struck me. Oh my gosh, this is where I'm going. And I just had that knowing that this is the place I was born to go to. Now I can have that thought and it never come to fruition, but I did Google the name Moffat Osoro, and he had just set up a Facebook page, and we ended up chatting. So we just had that meeting of minds and hearts and souls, and I remember seeing that there was 1,800 messages between us before I went on invitation to Kenya to meet him and to work with them to shift the way the clinic worked and the way birth happened in that community. So it was in a very poor community in one of the informal settlements of Nairobi. So it's on the outskirts of Nairobi. Generally, the folk there have very low income, as low as $1 a day for some people. No running water, no toilets in their homes, which is often just a very small room with a large number of people in them. And so a very complex community when it comes to birth, but the changes that have happened and the way that Moffat and the team, and I'm speaking very much on their behalf, the way they run that clinic has just changed the face of birth, and it is truly remarkable.
That is amazing. I can't wait to hear your presentation and find out all about it. I had a sneak peek of the slides, and I saw the beautiful, beautiful images in there that you are so great sharing with us here and our listeners here at the during the presentation. It's just an amazing story of this birth center. So, um,
Yeah, I'm very
what?
grateful to the
Yeah.
women to sharing their pictures with us. And I think what shines through, I remember Moffat saying to me once, he said, we never thought about birth as something to smile about. He said, women were just grateful if they survived, but we never saw women smiling. He said, now everybody is smiling. And I think that really shines through in the pictures because it's true. Everybody is smiling. Birth is, at the clinic is a joyous occasion. The women are treated with dignity and compassion, and it is a truly beautiful. We've even had people from, I said at the beginning, you mark my words, people will come from the other side of town to have a baby here, and they just looked at me like I was crazy. But it is true, we have had people come from, we've had a government minister's wife come and have a baby there. We've had a
Remarkable. Yeah.
TV presenter come and have a baby there. We've had an Australian couple come and have a baby there. She was born in Kenya, but they live in Australia, but they ended up having their baby there, which is quite remarkable considering that they do not have resources for advanced care. But people have taken that choice, even when they have opportunity to pay for advanced care, they have chosen to have their baby in the clinic. So it is quite astounding. I'm looking forward to telling the story.
Yes, yes. And when I saw those pictures, I saw the joy and I saw so much love too. And so I'm
Absolutely.
certainly not surprised that even the minister's wife or, government official's wife and people who usually have access to much higher resources come there because of just that wonderful, um, how they're being treated there and
Yeah.
being seeing birth as a joyous, event, certainly. Um, that is absolutely remarkable, and I can't wait for you to tell us more there about it. Anything else you think you can share with us? Just one more little nugget here. So, um,
Um, well, I think it's important to grasp really the fact that it doesn't take a lot.
mm,
The things we're talking about, compassion, kindness, movement, these are not expensive. These are free, and we can put them to work in any setting that we are, whether it be a low resource centre or the fanciest, most expensive hospital in existence. These are things that can be instigated immediately, but we have just been lucky enough to put them to work in a place where the outcomes not only bring joy and happiness and community change, which they have, but also increase safety enormously. Increase normal birth rates, uh, decreased complications, and so those are the things I'm going to talk about on the day. So it's very exciting work.
Absolutely wonderful. I can't wait to watch this presentation and listen to you and also see what we can take from it as birth workers into our own practice and into our own little communities wherever we practice, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, for me, to coming from being a home birth midwife and working in those kind of environments, to come back to work in a private hospital, people tend to think, oh my God, how do you do that? But I can do it really well because people look at the work I do and go, eh, whatever she does, it works, and it's the same practices, the same concepts, the same ideas that have been put to work at FreMo. But women have, I feel very sad for women in the modern world that birth has become something to be feared, something to be avoided, something to be medicated to escape. For me, my experience of birth, wherever I've worked, has been one of empowerment, one of dignity, one of growth for the woman. It's an amazing experience. And even when things become complicated, using those same principles, that woman should be coming out of the experience stronger, more confident, and it's up to us as midwives to do that work with her.
Very powerful work. Thank you so much, Vicki Chan, for talking and with me here today about your upcoming presentation. It has been such a pleasure talking with you.
And you. So I look forward to seeing you on the day.
I look forward to you seeing you on the day too.
Hearing you. I said seeing because I was just thinking, it's probably just as well it's not a visual thing because my arms are flying around and I'm a very physical worker, whether I'm talking or being a midwife.
Exactly, but Vicky, we can hear your passion. We can hear it. It really shines through in when you're talking to me right now, to our listeners, about this topic that means so much to you. And we can, even without seeing you, we can feel your passion. We hear you, and we can't wait learning from you. And Vicky's presentation, the story of the FreMo Birth Center Midwifery Care in a Low Resource Setting, is part, as I mentioned before, of the Gold Midwifery Conference 2019. That presentation will be live, and it depends on where you live in the world. We chatted earlier with Vicky, and for her, it is on the 20th of February. For me here in the United States, it's on the East Coast, it's on the 19th of February. So make sure, and this is for our listeners, to check out when the presentation is live in your time zone. And to do that, you can go to goldmidwifery.com. There you will find out all the information about this presentation and the other presentations in the Midwifery Conference. Thank you, everyone. And one more time, thank you, Vicki, for being here with me today. And thank you to all our listeners. Bye-bye for now.